My name is Betty Ishoy, and I am the simulation coordinator for the University of West Georgia School of Nursing. I'm also an assistant clinical professor there. In 2007, the University of West Georgia purchased a sim man, and he was sitting in a box. And we were told as faculty members that we had to go to training. And about 15 of us went and sat through simulation program training through the Laerdal rep that came. And about 2 or 3 of us grabbed hold of it and said, "This is really cool, we should do a simulation." And we had our very first simulation in January of 2008. From that OB simulation day, we began incorporating simulation into our nursing curriculum. And the undergraduate dean asked me to be the simulation coordinator in 2009. So I grew the program from basically one simulation and several enthusiastic users, and now we have simulation in every one of our clinical courses except for community course. And I'm in a Bachelor's of Science of Nursing program, and that has been quite challenging to get faculty to buy into that so that we can use it in every single course. And currently we have about 20% of our clinical experiences are enjoyed in the simulation lab. At the University of West Georgia, we have been granted the opportunity of having a brand new building. The groundbreaking is going to occur here in November. And so as we have worked with the architects and prepared to have more space, increased enrollments and more space, then we anticipate using simulation in more of our clinical courses. The amount of simulation that we have right now is clearly defined by the amount of space that we have, and so to grow our simulation program, we needed more space. And as we designed the building, we thought about movement of students through the simulation lab, what we wanted to accomplish with them. And so the program will grow just as soon as we have more space to put students in it and faculty to staff those spaces. This is not my first SUN event. I attended a SUN in April of 2010 in Atlanta. It was close to home, and I thought, oh, I'll just go see what that's all about. I really learned a lot. I really enjoyed it, and so I told our Laerdal representative last time I saw him that if they needed any more, if they needed a faculty member to present, I was very interested because of the fact that I'm working in simulation for my dissertation, and also because I feel like I've had a very concentrated experience in simulation in a very short amount of time. In the fall of 2010, I wanted to demonstrate to my administrator that I was overworked. And so I calculated the number of students who had walked through the simulation lab, not just walked through, but walked over the threshold to start a simulation. And in just one semester, I had seen 6,000 entries to the simulation lab, me personally, every single one of those entries. Now, some of those simulations had 3-4 students in a simulation scenario, and I was pretty tired and thinking I needed more help, so I had to demonstrate that we were really producing a lot of simulated clinical experiences. And so at that point in time, I was able to engage other faculty members in assisting in the simulation environment. I was asked to speak on the art and science of debriefing. I personally think that debriefing is the place where the most is learned, because according to the Tanner clinical judgment model, students or healthcare providers can learn a lot as they reflect on their action. And that's where the learning occurs for the next time, so that some of the same incidences that may have gone not as well as the student or the practitioner would have liked it to have gone, that's where those course corrections can occur, is in the reflective process. And so what I have my students do is we have a 2-part debriefing, and they have a chance to write and reflect on what occurred in the simulation, and then we watch a video capture of the simulation and get to talk and work through and think through what went on, and if there were any corrections that need to be made, that comes out in debriefing. And so I was asked to speak on that debriefing portion of simulation, which I think was really great because I feel very passionate about the debriefing process. Unfortunately, as I bring in more clinical faculty to assist in simulation, I find myself more and more in the role of organizing the simulation, running the simulator, and my clinical faculty, they do more of the debriefings. But I still get to do a fair amount of it and to perfect my own skills. And it's good when you present something, it helps you to reflect on your own practice and how you're doing. Some of the best practices, I believe, for simulation for someone who is new, who's just barely getting started, would be not to repeat the mistakes that I have made. Experience is a really great teacher. When you go to these conferences and they say, do this, do that, that's really experience speaking, and the best thing to do is to take those little nuggets and 2 or 3 of them home and say, I'm going to do this, because if they felt really passionate about it, then I should do that. So a couple of my nuggets of advice are to clearly define the objectives of what you want to accomplish in the simulation. I started out with really lofty objectives for students, and it became evident as the students were frustrated that we perhaps ought to back off, and if I had clearly defined my objectives, I don't think there would have been that initial frustration. And so now when a student goes into simulation, they know what to anticipate as far as what I'm expecting or what the objectives of the scenario are. Another thing that I would tell someone who is new is to not get overwhelmed with the technology. Truly, you can teach in a simulated clinical environment with a static mannequin and a cardboard box, and all the other pieces to it just bring more excitement and fidelity to the situation. We have been overwhelmed with technology this, technology that, and the very first thing that happened in our simulation program is that the simulator was purchased and everybody thought we needed to learn how to program it. Truly, what we should have been thinking is, how can we engage the students in simulation that will be to their best benefit as far as learning in the clinical environment? And then the technology could have come, and how to program the scenarios, or to purchase pre-programmed scenarios. We discovered that you don't have to be a fantastic programmer. You just need to be able to turn the machine on, turn the computer on, and punch a couple of buttons, and the thing will go for you. You don't have to be so heavily engaged in technology, but you really do have to be engaged in how can simulation best benefit the student, instead of look at all these cool bells and whistles that I have come up with.